This is the Amp Hour Podcast, recorded September 21st, 2016, episode 316, an interview with Robert Feranec.
Welcome to the Amp Hour. I'm Dave Jones from the EEV blog.
And I'm Chris Gamble of Contextual Electronics.
And I'm Robert Feranec from Fedevel.
Hey, Robert, thanks for joining us.
Thank you guys for inviting me, and I'm really happy to talk both of you.
Yeah, and
awesome.
We've been following your stuff for a long time.
Yeah, we have. We've talked about you several times, I'm sure, on the show.
I noticed some of the podcasts, and I listen to them, so I know
Excellent.
you mentioned it. And I would like to say also, I watch your videos, Dave, and also I listen to podcasts. Not every video, not every podcast, but I don't know what's happening.
No. I would say you lead a sad life if you watch every one of my videos.
Well, I was going to say, if he's watched every one of yours and listened, he probably wouldn't be here, right? I mean,
that's this is great. Tell us, Robert, what you do for those who don't know. I'm sure a lot of our audience would have come across your stuff, but tell us.
Basically, I try to explain it to people who never work in electronics, and I usually say we teach people how to design boards, but because at this moment we are in the electronic world and the people who are listening, they work with electronics, I can go a little bit into details. So what I try to do, or do you think, shall I explain how I started doing what I do? Do you think people could be interested?
Yep. Yes, definitely. We always want background.
I started, it was very long time ago, like in 2000, and I got a really good offer from one company. It was really good salary at the time. So I took the job, and the first task, what they gave me, it was like design IP telephone, and which is running Linux.
That's a big first task, I got to say.
Yeah. Yep. And I had no idea how to do it actually, because I went to the job from university.
And, right.
And it was 2000. There was nothing about Linux.
No, that was a big thing back then.
Yeah. So I designed the board. It was running the Linux, and since then I actually was working on a lot of boards with operating systems, and then I designed some boards with x86 architecture, and this way I learned quite a lot of stuff, and I've got I don't want to say like bored, but I felt in the last company where I used to work daily, I felt like I'm not learning anything new. So I left the company, and I wanted to do something completely else. I actually wanted to do some software stuff. Program.
Oh, no.
Yeah, program web pages and these things.
Don't worry, everyone makes mistakes. It's okay. It's okay.
But then I started writing blog and doing the videos, and people started asking questions like, how I can do this and how to do this. And you probably, Dave, you may know this, because I guess a lot of people ask you questions.
Oh, yeah.
So...
Not from way before I was doing the blog, when I had a web page 20. I just tweeted yesterday, I've been online. I've had a web page for 20 years now. And
wow.
In all that time, people, once your web page goes up, people start asking you, they find you and they start asking you questions.
Yes, that's exactly what happened to me. And it was so many emails that I just said okay, people, stop asking, because you are all asking same questions. And if here is a form, and if 100 people signed up and say, I'm going to pay for a course where you explain all this stuff. So I told them, I will do a course which will explain all your questions, which you keep asking all the time. And
just sign up.
Yeah, 200 people signed up.
And 200 people signed up.
And I had to do it.
You were forced to do it. This is great.
Yeah. Oh, it was actually really hard because I had to do it over weekends. And it took me like 3 months, and it was a lot of work, continuous 7 days of work, because during week I had to work on my freelancing stuff. And during weekends I was recording the courses. So it was a lot of work. But I think people, they like it. And that's what happened. Basically, it was not the easiest course. So then people started asking questions again because they needed to know the basics. So I created the basic course. And then people keep asking about layout. So and that's how it goes.
Right, so you just sort of stumbled across it. You like the almost like the community sort of like pressured you into it.
Yeah, we can say this.
That's great.
Well, and we should clarify here too, because the reason we always come across your stuff too is because it's an Altium based course as well, which is very different. We hadn't really seen that outside of like the corporate. So they have like corporate training through Altium, but you do a lot of stuff using Altium Designer, very high speed, like digital architecture type stuff, right?
Yes, that's correct. Basically, what I normally say, I do not really teach about Altium. I try to teach about hardware design. And Altium, when I left company and when I set up my own company, at that time, Altium was quite cheap. You may remember this.
Yes,
times.
I remember. It was $12,000, and then they dropped it by 70% slash.
Yes.
And it was like 3,000 or something.
Exactly, yes. When I was buying, it was like 4,000 euros or something like this. I think it's now more expensive. And in US, it's like $10,000, or I don't remember exactly.
8 or 9
now.
last time I looked, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so it was quite cheap. And I knew Altium because I used to work back at university. I used to work in Protel. But I didn't know it's good because they improved quite a lot, and I learned some stuff in the companies where I worked. So I could use some of the features properly, and I found them very useful, and that's how I actually started creating the videos, because I used to work in Allegro and Orchid, and we had to do we had to do a lot of stuff like really complicated way. And when I bought the Altium, I saw like, wow, they have feature for this. so I had to share it. And so I don't really teach about Altium, or I try to say I don't teach about Altium.
Right.
It's more about the hardware.
The generic skills required for PCB layout.
Yes, one of the courses about the PCB layout. Yes, and it's about the skills and some knowledge.
So you do more than just PCB layout. You actually do hardware circuit design as well.
At this moment, we actually have 4 courses. I recorded 4 courses. The first one which I recorded was the whole process of design, like from creating schematic, or not even creating schematic, even starting with like organize your files and keep a nice structure so your colleagues and everyone can find everything. And then it goes through the schematic and the libraries and how to check the stuff, because this is what I found very important. When you design boards like x86 motherboard, it's extremely difficult to debug it. So, you just connect power, and if it doesn't boot up, it's like,
where do I start?
Throw it all out, start over, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. So I learned some procedures or something, how to check the schematic, how to check the layout, footprints, and everything before it goes to production, because it is in production, it would cost a lot of time and a lot of money to debug the board if it doesn't work.
Definitely.
And that's what I share on the first course. So how to check it, and then how to do some basic layouts and how to generate the files. So people could could watch the one course, and they see all the steps through the whole project.
Now, you've got a YouTube channel, which we'll link in down below, and because you've got a weird channel name. It's
Oh yeah,
MATAROFE. What's that?
it's like, when I set up YouTube channel, everything was taken,
Right.
and the name is my son
Oh,
letters.
okay. Right.
And my wife letters and my letters.
Oh,
Right. Martin,
yeah.
Tanya, and Robert. So that's
Right.
like Mata, Rofe. And
Anyway, we'll link it in down below because we can't pronounce it. So you've got a whole bunch of free content on there, yes? Is it like
Yes.
complete, or is it just like preview stuff, or what?
usually when I create a course, I usually also ask people what they like most and what they found really useful, and then I share this on YouTube.
Excellent. So are you still actually putting new content up there?
It's difficult now. I try sometimes, but maybe you notice some of the things what I put there. Lately, it was, for example, I think last video is about freelancing. So
Yes, I saw that. I will talk about that later.
Yeah, it's not exactly connected to hardware design.
No, but still.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's now getting more difficult, because once you cover a lot of stuff, it's more difficult to come up with some useful and good ideas and videos what people will find interesting.
Yep. So is this your full-time job now? Just doing the courses, or do you still do freelance work?
I don't do the freelance work because it's very time demanding.
Yes, and lots of pressure.
Depends. You need to be careful about the clients
Yep.
and about the projects. So
Right. Well, let's talk about freelancing now. I mean, we'll link in your video down below how to work as a freelancer. You go through the key topics. I haven't watched it all yet, but it looks like a good breakdown of how to become a freelance hardware. Is it hardware design, or is it just generic freelancing for anything, software or?
the video, I try to create it the way it could be useful also for people who are doing something else, but it's the examples are based on my experience, so they are based on hardware design.
Got it. Excellent. So let's talk about it. Freelancing. Who should do it? Why? What are the advantages? What are the disadvantages?
Okay.
There's lots of questions there, so I guess if you want most info, watch the video. But we've got you here, so let's talk about it.
I know exactly who should not do it.
Okay.
So the lazy people.
Right. Which are who? Is there a specific type of lazy person, or is it would people know that they're lazy?
You need to force yourself to work. It's sometimes very difficult. But
engineers usually love having deadlines. Usually if they don't have a deadline, they're very lazy. But if they have a deadline, suddenly they're wham, into it.
Yeah, I know this. Everybody needs to have some deadlines, otherwise nothing is done. It's like how much you need, 2 weeks more.
Right.
So when did you start getting? So you said you got this job right out of university. And first off, where was your university?
In Slovakia.
Slovakia, okay. And then you got this job out of university. When did you decide to jump over to freelance? Because that's always that was a big thing that I talked to a lot of people about. Where it's like, how do you make that decision to actually, make the jump and decide if you're too lazy?
It was a couple of things together, actually. I didn't go directly, or I went to my first job from university, but I was actually doing PhD study at that moment. I was not studying. And the company was in Slovakia. My first job was in Slovakia. And I knew I will need to improve my English. So that's actually the time when I didn't know I'm going to freelance, but I knew I will need English.
Why is that? Is because English is the de facto language in the electronics hardware?
I think it's everywhere.
Yep.
You know, in Slovakia, I would not be able to do what I was doing without actually speaking English. Because in Slovakia,
even locally in Slovakia.
Even locally you need English because everything is in English, all the data sheets and
data
everything.
sheets and everything. Yep.
But if you would like to move to higher technology, you need to go out of Slovakia. There are not really many companies what are doing like designing motherboards or something like this. You know,
right?
Okay. So they were more like local companies working on regional products. Is that kind of the idea?
Yeah, they did maybe some microcontrollers and this kind of stuff at that moment or at that time. So because I decided to improve the English, I went to the UK, and working for one company for a too long time, it's like, first year is really good. You learn a lot. Yeah. Second year is like you try to maybe make some suggestions, and then in year 3 you realize nobody is really interested in your suggestions.
Oh, this sounds so familiar. Yeah,
yeah, very familiar.
So year 4 is like, what I'm going to do?
Looking for a new job.
Yeah. And the year 5 I left.
Right. That's actually a long time. I think the average is like 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, I was gonna say 18 months is like, it depends on age group, I think, and
it does. Yeah,
where you are in your career kind of thing. But yeah, that's
so that was the decision. Actually, I wanted to do some change because I felt like I'm not going to grow, and I felt like if I stay longer, I may become the lazy person, which is not going to, learn anything new. And also the other factors were like, my wife, we were expecting baby. Mm-hmm. So we wanted to go back to Slovakia, and also our son, he went he should go to year 1 in school. And again, we wanted him to go to Slovak school, so that's why we went back. And when we went back, I knew I'm not going to look for a new job. I thought I'm going to program websites.
Right, okay.
I see.
That's where
You're
the
saying
programming
that
came
because
from.
you had like a higher tech job in London, but that didn't really exist back in Slovakia yet, you're saying?
Yes,
I see.
And I didn't want to find a job. We saved some money, and because we moved back to Slovakia, and I really didn't need to go immediately into work. So I told myself I'm going to have 1 year and explore what I could do or something like this.
Yeah, that's great.
Right.
Yeah, that's kind of like what you did, Dave. After Ultimate, you kind of took that time where you're like, I'm going to try it for a while and see if it works, and it worked. Right?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
That's a great thing.
Yeah, but you need to have some money saved.
Oh yes, no, you can't do it without money. Yeah.
Yeah, that's important for the freelancing, I think.
Yeah. Right. So back to the freelancing. Lazy people should not do it. Who should do it?
I think there are two kind of people who would like freelancing.
Or who would be good at it? Let's put it that way.
Good at it.
They can make a successful business from it.
It depends in what kind of area you will be doing the freelancing and how good you are. Because if you are offering some services which are easily available anywhere and anyone can do it, it's going to be, I think, really tough. But
as
if
in
you are,
the programming side of things. I mean, if you go to freelancer.com or something, there's a million people who will bid against you, right? For the job. Right.
Exactly, yes. But
so you need
if
something
really
specific.
Good, yes. So I was good in designing processor boards, so for me it was not so difficult. And actually, I was not looking for any new jobs. It just friends who know me.
Right.
They just came and say like, we have client, like, don't want you to help them? No, I don't want to. I want to program websites. I don't want to do.
I don't want your money. I want to do what I want to do.
And they were like, no, hell, it's just, just 1 month. It's just 1 month. And
that's how it always starts, yeah.
Just 1 month of designing a x86 processor board? Is that?
You're right.
It'll take you 3 months, but it's just 1 month.
Yeah. So definitely people who are maybe who are expecting to achieve something more, they need to have some inner drive to do the things. I think they could be good in freelancing. And what I mentioned when I say like there are two kind of people, I think one kind of people are who really love freelancing because they just don't want to have boss, so they can do whatever they want.
The lifestyle freelancers.
Yeah, yes, exactly. They like the lifestyle of the freelancing. And there are the second kind of people who use the freelancing to move then higher or not higher but different world, like they set up their own companies and they continue. That's what
the
I
overachievers.
Yeah, they go a little bit further. Basically, I don't want to say, or maybe the further is not the right word for this. The reason why I moved away from the freelancing, I mentioned in the video, there are actually 3 reasons why I move out. And after 2 years of doing freelancing, I realized 3 things. One is that if you don't work, you don't earn any money.
That is definitely true. Yep.
Yeah,
seems simple,
that
but
seems
yeah.
like, yeah. But when you think about this a little bit, you find out there are actually people who don't work and still earn money.
Correct.
And that's what I was thinking, like, this is maybe what I would like to do, When I go, I always say, like, when you check your bank account before you go to bed, and then when you check your bank account in the morning when you wake up, you should have more money on the account.
Right.
That's how it should work.
Right. Either interest or making money while you sleep by selling products or something.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
So this was the first point what I realized, like when you don't work, if you are sick, if you go on holiday, or if it's Sunday, Saturday, you don't earn any money. And if you go to hospital, it's like, wow, you really cannot go to hospital. You cannot break your leg.
Yep.
Arm.
Just tell that to yourself while you're riding a bicycle downhill or something, right?
Yeah. So, and the second thing what I realized is like, when you work as a freelancer, you never work for yourself. You always build someone else's company. Mm-hmm. And, you finish project, and again, you need to look for a new client, and it's really like starting again and again and again with every project. You don't have anything, you cannot really build anything on what you've done before, because it all belongs to your clients.
Yeah, there's no lasting value. Like you have less risk because you're basically getting paid for your work, and they're taking the risk by paying you, but they also get the reward at the end, right?
Yes, exactly. And the third thing what I realized was like you only sell your work once.
Correct. Yes.
So
if you want to sell it again, you've got to go restart that work and
yes,
from scratch every time.
Exactly. And it's all connected together, because you don't have your product, you cannot sell it more times, and because you are developing for your clients, you are not developing any products for yourself, and it's all like loop, and it never ends if you don't decide like, okay, stop, I'm going to stop doing this.
Yep. So you decided, so that was a deliberate decision on your part that you wanted to, why you got into the online course thing, that you wanted to create content, wanted to have an ongoing income without any extra work?
It may sound like any extra work. I'm pretty sure, Dave, you know how it works. It's not like...
I know how it works, but that's the idea, is that you produce these courses and then they're there forever and people can come along and buy them, and in theory, there is no work on your part. They just buy the course and download it.
Yes.
So that's how it works in theory. Does it work in practice?
In practice, you need to somehow get the people to buy the courses.
Of course. So how do you do that? Tell us the ways you can do that.
One of the ways is the blog and YouTube.
Yep.
So they know what you are doing, and they know you. So you
have to make a name for yourself.
Yes, exactly. Yep. That's correct. And the other thing, what I'm trying to do, or what we are trying to do, is the open source. We are speaking, or we are going to speak about the open source.
Yes, we're going to get into it. We're going to have a fight with Chris. It's going to be great. Stick around.
Yes. Basically...
Nice teaser, Dave. Nice teaser.
Thank you.
Basically, the thing is, when I was doing the course, the first one, I realized, for the next courses, I actually will need to develop something. I will need to have my own project, because otherwise you cannot really show it to people.
Correct. Yeah, you can't. People think that you can just do a demo with just a simple circuit. No, you've got to develop real hardware to actually are by far the best examples.
Exactly.
Yep.
And
although
it costs quite a lot of money.
Chris will say otherwise, because he does very basic, like design from scratch, LED flasher kind of thing, which has its market. But if you want to get into more advanced
stuff. That's my demo circuit, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I mean, my course is basically other stuff, but yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
but anyway. you're doing a similar thing, Chris. You're designing a product in the end, aren't you?
Right, yeah. It's towards, I think this is experiential learning through designing a real thing. I think me and Robert align perfectly on that piece of it all.
Yep.
And that's good.
Yeah, we do have also simple stuff, but it's really good you mentioned this, how long it actually takes, because many people, they have no clue how long development of like difficult boards takes. So I can now tell this secret.
Surprise!
Surprise! Yes.
And so which board? So we should also run through. So you have a couple courses, and you have different levels of like involvement for each one as well. Like, so you have an x80. It's not an x86 board, is it? It's
ARM.
It's ARM. Okay, that's right.
Yes.
So you have an ARM board. You also have a Arduino style board. You have a power supply.
That's correct. Yeah, there are two ARM boards and the power supply and the Arduino.
Right. So like a good spread of power supply is probably the lower end, or Arduino might be the lower end, but moving up to like I've seen your stuff. It's very involved. It's like 8-10 layer boards, right? I mean, they're pretty crazy.
Yes, that's correct. That's what I wanted to say. That actually, to create the most expensive course, people they say is expensive. Sometimes, some people they don't, because they say Altium courses are expensive.
Yeah,
right. In comparison, yeah.
But to create the advanced PCB layout course, which we have, we actually spent like year developing just the board, which is used in the course. And that's what I wanted to say. So people, it sometimes I receive email like, oh, I thought I can do it like during evenings and maybe for 3 weeks. I can design the board like this. No, it doesn't work like that. It's like you may need 1-2 months to do the schematic, because some schematics, they have a lot of pages and you need to be pretty sure, especially if you paid from your own money, you really would like to be sure it's going to work.
Right.
And the layout depends how difficult, how small the board is. It can be anywhere between 2 to 4 months.
Wow, that's crazy.
So,
right, that's kind of the level that Dave, you used to do as well, right? Like
I have spent 6 months working on a layout. Yeah. It's not, it's just a really advanced stuff, like it's not necessarily the number of layers, although they tend to come along with the ride.
right. It's more the intricacy
it's just
of the
sheer
design.
Complexity of the design that you try, especially if everything's going on one board and it's not a modular based
and
layout.
This is the IMX6 Rex, is that right? Is that the design
correct.
you're talking about? Okay.
Yes.
And we'll link to that. And that is, so I'm looking at the page right now, and so the module, it's using the IMX6 processor, which is an XP processor. I think that's also the one that Bunny used on the Novena as well. I'm not completely sure, but I think it's something in the same family. It's 4-core kind of pretty,
maybe, I don't
quite
know.
high end.
You mean the laptop?
Yeah, I thought so. I thought it had that one as the base processor, but maybe it was something else.
Yeah, basically, when I was deciding which processor we are going to use, I went to DigiKey and I had a look which one is the cheapest one. And at that time, it was IMX6, but it's not now.
Right.
And even that board is not necessarily a complex board. The one you're talking about, the IMX6 board, base
the
board.
module, or because we have a couple of boards.
Right. Yeah, but I think I've seen them. I don't have them in front of me, but I've seen them before, and they're complex compared to what a hobbyist would do. But in terms of industry stuff, they're still not at the level of a
you're saying that they could get
Intel
like
motherboard
super crazy. Like if it was like a 14 FPGA board, it could get like super crazy. Yeah, I see what you're saying there. But it's for my eyes, it's definitely very complicated. But yes,
right.
I mean, you can always go more complicated, right, Dave?
Yeah. Definitely.
To whatever effect it might be.
So I wanted to go back to the time, how much you need to spend doing the layout when we were speaking about this. And, people don't realize that if you have like 50 pages of schematic, and the schematic is full of components and full of pins, that when you do layout, you actually need to connect all the pins. And just connect the pins, it takes so long time, and place the components and everything that it's just not possible to do it in like a couple of weeks. You really need a lot of time.
And then you get routed into a corner, no pun intended, and then you might have to reshuffle the layout, and that's not necessarily easy, even with push and shove routers, and it's not necessarily
right, and you're trying to conserve space because it's a 12-layer board, which makes it way more expensive if you use more real estate. Because sadly, Ashpark does not have 12-layer boards as of yet.
And everybody would like to have it as small as possible because they don't want to pay for PCB.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
What is your take on auto routers, Robert? We must ask. Are you a fan of auto routers?
And
in what way? And auto router. Do you like them? Do you use them? Or do you partially use them? What do you do?
I don't use auto routers.
Yes. Good man. You get to stay on the show. You answered correctly.
I did try it once a long time ago. It was called Spectra, I think, the one which I was trying. I tried also Altium and all the other, but they are not really auto routers.
No.
So I tried a real proper one called Spectra. I'm not sure if they still call it same way.
I think they might, yep.
And I spent like a week setting up the roles I hit the button routed, and it said like it's not possible.
After a week of prep work.
Yeah. So you know, I had to do it.
Yeah.
But I need to be honest. Last week I went to PCB West exhibition, and Altium they demonstrated this new feature.
I've seen it.
To be Altium 17.
Yes.
And they don't want to call it auto router. They call it
something else. Yeah.
Predictive router.
Active router. I think.
Active router. That's right.
And
they've got this. I've seen this example GIF. Tell me if you've seen the same one example video where they actually drag the traces from one FPGA to another, and they just drag a route for all of them, and it follows the route. We'll have to link in the
it's like following the mouse basically of like
it's
along,
like following
but
the mouse.
It does all the matched impede. I've seen that for I think Mentor does that too.
Yeah.
I think there's a similar tool.
And I wrote it was discussed on the EEV blog forum, and I wrote on there that it looks impressive, but it usually doesn't meet the practical reality. It's not conducive.
Well, not to mention, it probably
reality.
has that week of setup time that Robert's talking about as well, right? Well, I mean, like those rules are super crazy.
They
right?
are, but I think the example they used was incredibly simplistic. So yeah, there was nothing else in the way. There were no other components on the other side. There was, they were using a bunch of layers, and yeah, it works. I mean, I've worked at Altium where they would do this all the time. They would, the PCB guys would come and show us this new feature. Oh, look what, just in their lunchtime, they were writing this cool feature just because they could. And they demoed this feature, and we go, wow, that's great. But, it would never make it into the tool because it wasn't a practical thing. It wouldn't work
because it has to work for everything and work every single time, right?
Exactly. Or in the majority of cases, and often it doesn't. So, yeah. Anyway, sorry.
So I actually challenged the guy who designed the active router, and I told him I sent him a link to our open source board.
Right.
And I say okay, everything what you are doing here, it looks nice in these demo marketing videos.
Yeah.
So set it up and send it back to me, and I will try it. And if I hit the button and it will route it, it's like wow.
Yep.
But I need to say I like they added special feature. You can create some kind of they call it pipe, and you specify how you would like the auto router, or you specify the place where you would like the auto router route the tracks. So I really like this, and I think they could. If they do some improvements, it could be useful to speed up the layout. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying it would be useful like full auto router.
Right, for the whole board, yep.
Yeah, but you could use it to help you to do some stuff automatically, so you don't have to route every track manually.
Yes.
Right, you reduce clicks, it already does the matching.
Yes.
And everything. Yeah, right. That makes sense.
But they still need to do some improvements in the things.
Because people don't realize, if you're laying out an advanced board that has 1,000-pin BGA, that's and you're using all the pins, including ground and everything. That's 1,000 traces you've got to place. That's probably 1,000 vias you've got to place. And if you're doing that manually, that takes a lot of time.
Well,
exactly.
It's times however many rip-ups you have too, right? Of course.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm not even including those.
Right. That's if you have a flawless execution.
Yeah, exactly.
Which doesn't happen.
No. So. Yeah, so those tools are vital. As designs get more complex, those tools are actually vital. It's not like but they're not the universal panacea that everyone makes them out to be. So
yeah, but I don't think there is going to be like magic button and it will round the board.
No, it's
or
not
it
happen.
can if it's like blinky or I don't know this kind of design.
Right.
Well, on the bright side, that means that people keep buying your course, I'm sure, because they need to figure out how to do this stuff, right? So that's good that's good you're showing this stuff. How much do you have to deal with? What were most of your videos made with? I mean, does it change enough from PCB, from version to version, that it matters, or does that not matter?
You mean
So you
update.
made videos maybe like a year ago,
Yes.
and like Dave's saying how there's a new version coming out. I only ask because I have to deal with this too, where like there's certain workflow things where they quote unquote move the button, and it's like, do you have to remake stuff then?
What I do, as I explained, I try to teach mostly about how to do things, not how to exactly use the software.
Yeah.
So in the courses, I try, or many times I do not use like very specific features, but yes, I had to create a couple of additional videos where Altium made some changes, like, I think one of the big changes was, for example, how board outline is specified, or when they edit the X signals or these things, but I don't include it in the course. I just make a video, I post it on YouTube, and then I link it from the course and say, here you can see some updates with new features.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice though that you do that. That's smart. Yeah.
Unlike yours, Chris, which Robert may not be aware of, yours are very specific, like how to use KiCad kind of stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff
them
like
are
that.
Obsolete. Those videos are almost worthless now.
I
are
started
they?
remaking a lot of videos because how a lot of the UI stuff had changed.
And that's a real
But that's
shame.
the public stuff. I think the course stuff that I do is a lot closer to what Robert's talking about. So
Right.
yep. What about this board? I mean, so the IMX6 Rex is the open source one you're talking about, right? But what is the ultimate? What is the use case for this board? It's like it's a processor board, like as like a plugin, or how do you expect people to be using it?
The initial IMX6 Rex board, the one probably which you are looking at, the module and the baseboard, they were specially designed for the course, for the most advanced course. So I was not really thinking like selling the boards or doing some, making some money from selling the boards. The one what I hope people will really like is called OpenRex. Maybe if you are on
I've seen it.
on
I've
the
got it in front of
IMX6
me.
Rex website,
Yep.
and if you click on the board, you will see there the OpenRex is the first one. So this is like completely open source. Yeah, it's open source also for commercial project. And what we try to do on this board is I try to combine the microcontroller and processor. So it's like Arduino and Raspberry Pi together. I have Arduino. I played with Arduino a little bit, but I think, and I love it. I really love it. It's really good to start with. But once you know it, it's like, what you are going to do with it. It's not really powerful. You can play with it, and do some simple projects, but that's it. And on the other side, I also have a Raspberry Pi. I really didn't spend much time playing with Raspberry Pi, but I tried to do some compilation and put there some software, and it was not so easy. Yeah, I'm not sure what do you think about these two boards, if it's same or if you have same feelings. So what the idea was behind this OpenRex is have completely open source board, because even Raspberry Pi, it's not really open source. I think the Broadcom chip, there is some closed documentation and there are some things what you really cannot get. So have completely open source board with the microcontroller and with the processor. So you can do some real-time stuff with the microcontroller, and you can have nice GUI, you can run some graphic and connect it to monitor and have powerful Ethernet and all these things. So that's the idea behind the OpenRex.
So does it have its own distro Linux as well? Is that kind of the idea, or?
It has it uses standard Linux, but it has a BSP board support package for the board, so you can boot up into Linux, and you should be able to make also Android on the board. I haven't had time to do it now, but it is possible definitely. And if someone wants, they can run the Windows embedded, or how is it? This was me this time.
Okay, it's okay.
Well, you can probably run like a new Windows 10.
I think
maybe
that's
yes.
these kind of
Maybe even Windows 10. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I would like to have something. But do you have kids? I don't know. Chris, you don't have
got
kids.
kids.
I know.
I don't have kids. Dave does. You're right.
And how old are your kids?
5 and 1.
Okay, so they are quite young at this moment. But I have son. He's 12.
Yep.
And it's like first thing is it's very difficult to find a toy for him. What would you buy 12 years old teenager? Yeah.
Yep.
Video
Mobile
games.
phone or smartphone or
They've already got everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's one of the things what I was thinking about when we were developing this. And the second one is he really like programming. Mm-hmm. And if I cannot really imagine if there are people or if there are kids who like to learn programming and their parents, they don't really understand. It must be really, really hard for them to learn it because maybe you remember our times. I don't know how
I
you
remember
started.
back then, my parents knew nothing about anything, any sort of technology, and I didn't even know anyone who knew anything. So I was completely on my own, and there was no internet. So.
But there was like Atari, Spectrum, or what did you have? Commodore?
Well, my first one was a Tandy 1000, which is an IBM PC clone, like an 8088 PC clone back in the day, because we couldn't afford a computer before that. Like, we were quite poor. That was like, the first thing that we could actually afford that my parents could get me. So,
yeah. Same here. So basically, we borrowed computer when I was young.
Right.
And you got this book, and there were all the examples.
You would buy the magazines and you type in the basic examples.
Exactly.
And then you modify them.
Exactly. And then you run it and it was doing what, it was great. You could learn from this. Today, it's not so simple. When, for example, I try to teach my son how to create application for smartphone, for Android.
Right.
So you just install the studio, or what is it? And it creates like 10 files. Mm-hmm. Every file is in different programming language. And then,
it's
how they are going to learn programming.
Yeah. It's not as simple as it was. You had basic and that was pretty much it.
Well, I think a lot of these times these days they're kind of moving towards like Python and stuff like that. But even still, it's not at the hardware level. That's kind of real high level of like abstracted concepts and stuff like that. And that's where it makes it harder. Whereas if you can teach someone to blink an LED, that's where usually that kind of locks people in, like it used to do with you guys with the basic, right?
Yes, and that's what is my goal with the OpenRex. So create a hardware platform where we could, together with community, I'm starting to build community, but I have no idea how to do it.
Yep, it's hard.
So maybe we can discuss this later.
After the show, yep.
Yeah. And create something very simple. So, for example, you plug in the board into Ethernet, you just open browser, and you can start writing code or something like this. Very simple. You can start very simple, and then once you feel like you are getting bored with the simple stuff, you can move to the next level. You can move to the Linux. You can try write applications running on Linux, or you can write applications on Android or this stuff, and you can use same hardware all the time.
And has that been successful? Are you selling those?
Oh, we are starting. So this month, the boards are...
Oh, it's new. Okay.
Yeah. The board is actually... We had the board since beginning of the year, but... this is good story.
Are you crowdsourcing this, or do you have a big enough audience to get traction on that?
I don't know yet.
Right.
This is one of the questions originally the idea was I know a guy who told me initially he's going to help me with this software development and these things. But we finished the hardware and nothing was happening, so we had to do it by ourselves. And we are kind of now a little bit slow with the software, and I really don't feel like I have enough resources to create the software really cool. So one of the options is do the crowdsourcing, what you mentioned.
Yep.
Or the other one is, I don't know, maybe find someone who really liked the project and who would like to move it ahead. Or otherwise, I just have to do it. I will keep pushing it, but it just will take ages if I do it by myself alone.
Well, I hope that works out.
Yeah, I hope so.
but in the meantime, your main business is still the courses, yeah?
Yeah, courses pay my bills.
Yep. Where does your business usually come from? Is it large companies who send their employees, or is it individuals mostly?
Oh, everyone. It's everyone.
Right.
It's
But do you have a breakdown? Which is your largest?
Largest companies?
Oh, well, no, the largest segment. Is it individuals or is it companies?
I would say it's like half and half.
Oh, okay.
So companies buy it because they would like to speed up the learning process of if they hire someone, for example, someone new, and they don't know how to work in Altium, or they would like to move up from microcontrollers to processors. So companies usually buy all the courses, and individuals, usually these are students at universities or people who are looking for a job.
Got it.
Yeah, it makes sense for students, especially if they get like a free license to Altium, right? That makes that would help.
I think in the US there is no free license anymore. I'm not sure, but I heard
really?
this.
Oh, for students
rumor.
even? I figured they did that still.
Well, it's not free. Well, it wouldn't be free. Maybe not free for the university, but the university.
Oh yeah, sorry. I meant for included with university
for students.
fees.
I mean, it certainly happens here. I know students here, and they get access to everything.
Right.
In fact, that's one of the reasons why talking to students, like they will just like not want to leave uni because like they get access to
every give up all my
single
sweet
package.
keys.
They have to give up all their sweet license keys, like. Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. I heard like someone sent me email that in the US he had to pay $100 something for a year. As a
that's
student.
still that's not much though. That's yeah.
Yeah, but it's not. Yeah. It was not free. But from Europe, I think I got email. They could get the license free. So I'm not sure how it works.
Yeah, no. Altium do charge for a student license, but I'm talking about like if you're a student at a university, the university usually has a license. So
I know. Yeah, I know.
So. That's a big step. So are you looking at other packages or are you still going to stick to Altium because your content is pretty tool generic anyway?
I'm working, at this moment, actually I'm working on software course. Yeah, because again, I receive, this time it's not about the questions, it's more like... It was born from frustration.
Right.
And it's exactly because the guy who promised me to doing the software, he didn't do it. So I had to learn it. And I found out it's really simple if you know how to do it. But it's so difficult and time consuming if you don't know how to do it.
Right.
So... I'm collecting all the information what I learned, and I'm trying to create software course about this.
Excellent.
About how to actually port Linux and kernel on the boards.
Oh, cool. That's good. Yeah. What about? So Dave was asking about Altium, but have you tried out the other versions as well? Because between like Designer and Circuit Studio and what's the other one?
Circuit Maker.
Yeah.
Circuit Maker and Circuit Studio, yep.
Yeah, I will go back to Circuit Studio. But before I forget, because you asked about the different packages, I bought Orchid Professional a year ago. I have not had time to install it yet.
How much does that cost these days?
It was something very special, so I cannot really say what the price was.
Okay,
Sweetheart deal. There we go. Yeah. Good for you. Good for you.
Not what you know, it's who you know.
It was the kind of deal that I had to buy it. Even I was not sure if I'm going to use it.
Right, but it was so good. It was so cheap that you had to get it. Okay, it was such a great deal. Yep.
Yeah, but I was thinking to create courses also on some other software like Allegro, and I put again. Usually, if I do something, I always put a form on my website, and I ask people if they would like to,
right. And if you
they
get
would
enough
sign up for the
people
course,
sign
and if
up,
they would pay for it.
Yep.
And it's not very successful.
Right.
But I think it can be because I'm really like Altium guy. I know as an Altium guy, so most of the people who usually go on our website, they probably use Altium.
Yes, exactly.
And so I didn't do it. I haven't done it yet. I don't know if I will do it in future. Maybe not. I don't know. About the other Altium products, I like the idea of Circuit Maker.
Which, what the idea, the cloud idea, or the fact that it's completely free? Or both?
The open source idea. There are some things what they could improve. For example, I don't like when I would like to see the schematic on the website, I have to open the software. It's like, why?
Right.
I just would like to see the page. Show me
the schematic, yes. Show me a PDF.
The picture.
Yeah.
Exactly, yes. Why I have to open the software for this? But I haven't done anything about Circuit Maker because I'm not sure what's going to happen with this. Maybe I sound a little bit negative, but I think there should be some way how this is going to survive, and I'm still not 100% sure how they are going to earn money on this project.
Yep, I can't. Yeah, I think they've gone too free. You can go so free that you go out of business. And you can't make it up in volume. The old joke about how do you make money from free software? Volume. No, it's a joke. Yes, I share your concern, Robert. I'm having a hard time seeing how it's going to be viable long term.
Yes. So that's why I never created any video about Circuit Maker.
Although I am reasonably excited about Circuit Studio, though. Yes. I'm starting to use. Yep. I think that's a nice price point.
Exactly. I agree with this. Same as you, they approached me about the Circuit Studio, and initially they didn't tell me. They decreased the price, so I was like,
right.
What do you want?
It's $4,000. Go away.
Yeah, I'm not going to. No one is going to use it.
Yeah.
and then they told me like, yeah, but we have a new price now. And I thought like,
sure. Right.
Below 1,000? Yes. Then I would buy it.
Exactly. I would personally buy it. They've given me a copy, disclaimer. In fact, I just got an email from them. They've given me a couple of licenses to give away on my forum. Just I can do whatever I want. Just give them away. They're like a promo thing. So I'm going to have like a little contest on my forum to give away a couple of full licenses to Circuit Studio. So I think they're headed in the right direction with Circuit Studio. Circuit Maker, I don't know if it's got a future, but anyway, that's for the market to decide.
Yeah, same here. They sent me some. They sent me email and they told me they can give me a few free licenses if I do some. What they say like. Right. Basically promote the software.
Yes, a demo. A review or whatever. Yeah. What do you think about the fact that it doesn't use the same file format as Altium Designer? That's just nuts.
It was big minus when when the cost or when the price was 4,000.
Right.
So it was like, no, I'm not.
That's a showstopper. Yep.
Yeah. But now when it's like 1,000,
you're willing to live with it.
Exactly.
Yep.
You kind of can accept this.
But you can go. Please correct me if I'm wrong. You can go from Altium Designer back into Circuit Studio, but you can't go from import Circuit Studio into Altium Designer. Is that correct? Or is it the other way around?
I don't know exactly. There are some importers. I'm pretty sure they can do it.
Right. Okay, yeah.
They can do it.
When I was working at Altium, they said that before. When I was working there, they said, "Oh yeah, we can do that." And what that involves is the PCB programmer actually manually opening the file and writing a script and just doing magic, penguin stuff, and making it happen. It's not like it's like, "Oh yeah, I can fix that for you," and yeah, they would just do magic programmer stuff and make it happen, which is not a solution that, scales well.
Normally, I think, for the price, I think it's still acceptable. I'm not sure exactly which direction it works. Mm-hmm. Maybe it can work both directions somehow. I don't know. I really
it does.
don't know.
I think you've got to export it in pads format or something, or some silly thing like that. Yeah,
exactly. And but you probably lose some information, and you need to do some adjustments, maybe manually. And
but
for very
the
complex,
price, but for the price, it's probably acceptable.
Yeah, but I think the main idea was like or what they don't want to do is like one. Company buys Altium for big stuff, and they then buy the Circuit Studio for less money and do all the things and skip or switch between the files and the programs. They want to make it as hard as possible.
They want to make it so it's a deliberate decision to do that.
Yes.
Yep.
But definitely, just go back to this. If I don't want to promote this. They don't pay. I always say Altium. I cannot take nothing from them because then I cannot stay like
impartial. Yep.
Yes, exactly. So I don't want anything from them. But in my opinion, if you compare what is available in that price, Circuit Studio is, I think, still a really good option.
Yep. Absolutely.
I think they don't pay you too, and you say
no,
the same
they don't
thing.
pay me. No, in fact, quite a few people there hate me. Yes.
Well, Dave, I mean, that's everywhere you've worked, I'm sure. Come on,
well,
man.
yeah, it is.
To date, the Amp Hour is the only place where you don't have an employee that hates you.
I don't know. I got a co-host that's not too keen sometimes.
I don't hate you. Well, let's see. Well, let's get into the open source hardware discussion. Maybe that will change my tune.
We're going to gang up on you, Chris, because Robert is on my side. He's seen my recent video about.
So I think that you're misinterpreting though. I didn't say I'd be against you. I said I would be strongly apathetic about the entire thing.
Right.
Okay, we are listening.
No. Please, Dave, why don't you give a synopsis of your video real quick about what? So we started talking about this obviously because Robert has this open source board. We've talked about open source a lot on the program,
and he's got different versions of open source. He's got fully open, partially open, etc.
Right.
Yes.
And
I will be attending Open Hardware Summit coming up in October. And obviously, Dave just made this video kind of talking about a range of these things.
I was hoping that it would be a talking point at the Open Hardware Summit. And I'm sure there will be a lot of people who've seen the video and we'll discuss it. Because brief overview, the problem is that the open source hardware logo, the gear logo, is being used by everyone, which is great, but it's being used but it's also the problem. It's being used by everyone regardless of how open their product is. Now, the idea of open source hardware, if you go read the definition of it, which I have signed in the past, I'm a signatory to that, is that everything must be fully open. It's basically all or nothing. To call it open source hardware and use the Gear logo. And it just became so popular that everyone started using the Gear logo. Oh, I have released a schematic, therefore I can use the logo. And no, it doesn't meet the definition. And that's the problem. And I think, and the Open Source Hardware Association have pretty much essentially said, yep, we give up. We can't control this logo. Everyone's using it willy-nilly, and we're going to go do our own certified, trademarked logo that, we have strict control over who uses it. But that doesn't solve the problem of when you go look at a project out there, you go to a website, or there's a Kickstarter and it says this is open source hardware and it's got the Gear logo. From that logo, you don't know how open they are. Is it fully open? Do they meet the definition, or do they just release a schematic as a PDF and that's it and call it open? Do they release firmware? You just don't know. And I think that's a practical reality that will never go away. And I think we need to fix or reclaim that Gear logo to accept the reality that people will only partially open hardware. And so I came up with this concept of different categories, just like the Creative Commons license. You have the Creative Commons with a commercial clause, you have it with a share alike clause, and also you have letters after the Creative Commons license. I proposed a change to the open source hardware logo so it had the letters telling you what parts are open. So at a glance, you can see, okay, this person has released the schematic, the PCB, and the firmware, but they haven't released the CAD files, and it's a non-commercial, and they use a non-commercial clause. So at a glance, you can tell. And I think it solves a huge problem out there. End.
Fin. And Robert, could you give us a quick overview of the stuff that you have? That what is kind of the level of what you've released?
The OpenRex, what we were speaking about. Uh-huh. If I do the mechanical drawings, or what is it? Everything is there, all the letters.
Right. So you're releasing the firmware, the mechanical CAD files, the bill of materials, the whole shebang.
Yes, everything. Basically, people
open.
can take the project, they can do whatever they want, they can take the Gerber files, bombs, they can manufacture it if they want. Mm-hmm. But exactly as you, Dave, said, is like it's same logo on our board as on some other board, which opens the schematic. And now how people are going to recognize that our board is much more open than the other one with the same logo.
And I think this is the fundamental huge problem, which Chris says, I'm apathetic, I don't really care. But which is fine. It's a fine position to take. But even the Open Source Hardware Association have agreed that it is a huge deal, and they gave up. They just essentially said, we give up. The only way we can fix this is to go with a trademarked certified logo. And I'm going, no, hey, I think we can fix this with just making it more Creative Commons-like and adding some, being a bit more liberal and practical with the definition of the logo. So,
right. So Robert, I think you and I are actually on the same page on basically give everything away, because the only thing we're really selling is the showing how it's done, right?
Yes, that's why part of the things why we are sharing what we are doing is not only because I needed to create the courses, it's also because we can show how the results looks. When people learn through our courses, this is how your work will look. Mm-hmm. And also we use it, for promotion. That's the way how we get the people to find out about us and about the project. And that's why when it starts difficult, because if a big company starts using same logo and they confuse then people, because people think, okay, this board is going to have maybe schematic in PDF. It's not going to be different from all the other big company boards. It's, we could have maybe more people visiting our website, or and also big difference is this is like community open source project, so we don't really have money to make other kind of promotion. So the logo would be really good.
Yeah, so you've got the Tiny Rex module, which is not fully open, right?
It's fully open, but for non-commercial use.
Non-commercial use, which therefore, by definition, by the community definition, you cannot use that open source, call it open source hardware, or use the Gear logo. Supposedly, in theory, based on that.
Yes, on the other one, on the model, we don't use the Gear logo. Yep. We only use the Gear logo on the fully open board.
Yeah, exactly. That has the commercial license and everything else. And and that's the big thing. The open source hardware definition is never taken into account the practical reality of the hardware business that we're in. Like it or not, companies have to make a living, right? I'm holding in my hand, right in front of me right now, is my custom design multimeter, right, which has been designed by a large multimeter manufacturer, right? And we've been working on this a long time, and I'm trying to convince them to release this open source. And they're really scared about this. They're a big manufacturer. They're really scared. They've didn't even know what open source hardware was. And I'm trying to convince them this is a really good thing. It'll be good. Open the product. And they're going, oh, we don't know. But if anything, I can convince them to open the schematic. I can convince them to open the firmware or partially open the firmware, things like that. But I don't think I'm ever going to be able to convince them to open all the mechanical CAD files, to give away the AutoCAD file or whatever it is, so that another competitor can come along and just make this multimeter, like have the bill of materials, the mechanical CAD file, everything else. That is not something that, a practical big manufacturer is going to give away. And nor should they. I think they should have the right to do that, but they should be encouraged at the same time to try and open their product as much as they feel comfortable with. And I think we need to encourage that and have a mechanism in place that allows them to do that. Hence my logo idea with the different letters that tell you what part of it's open. And this is a problem that will never go away. It's there. It's a practical reality of the hardware business that we're in. So, Chris, if you're saying you're apathetic, you don't care, well...
I don't know if you're waiting for me to jump in and be like, no. But what I really would jump in, it would be like, yeah, I don't give a crap. I mean, honestly, I'm so past this of, like posturing and all this other... I don't know. When it comes down to it, at the end of the day, if someone puts a logo on and they're not...
compliant.
Actually open, what is... I don't get it.
It's confusion. You can't tell.
No.
Like Robert said, if you...
But take it a step further. What is the practical output of that? So you bought a board because of that? We've talked about this before. I know we have.
No, yeah, but it frustrates people. People might back a Kickstarter campaign because they've plastered the name Open Hardware all over it and plastered the logo.
We all buy stuff on Amazon or eBay or anywhere else that has a CE logo that isn't actually CE certified. And that's much more drastic, and that's literally illegal.
That's not apples and oranges. That's
but I know that's what I'm saying. It's marked, but it's not legit, and yet that actually has some safety implications. And yet, I don't know, whatever. Yeah,
but you're expecting something you're expecting this to be open. If you see that logo, if you know that logo means everything should be open, it's all at the moment. The logo is all or nothing. You have to give everything away or nothing.
I get that. But the apathy comes in that I don't think anyone actually does anything with it. At the end of the day, no one actually goes in like, I just don't. I don't think. I mean, I know this is me sounding. I sound super cynical right now.
Which is why I'm saying, if you don't care, that's fine. Right. But there are others who do care.
Sure.
And you shouldn't just dismiss the idea because you personally don't care.
No, well, no, that's my right
or
to dismiss it at least.
You, or it doesn't,
Right.
or it doesn't impact you. I mean,
But if I step back and say if I did care about it, yeah, I mean, your idea is not bad. I mean, I will agree to that. Sure, but I just don't think. I think it's just a lot of, it's a lot of hand wringing and posturing for.
So why shouldn't we? But it could. It's not just that. It allows companies to encourage them to start opening things, right? At least partially. If they can go, oh, we can use that logo if we release a schematic, can we? That's great. We can just put open source hardware -S, right? That we're releasing a schematic. And it leads into things and helps build a more open hardware society, I think. It encourages it. From that aspect alone, I think it should be adopted.
Sure, that is a positive output if that actually happened.
Approach.
Sure.
Yeah,
sure.
And I think it will. And I think it's a zero-risk solution to actually try it.
I don't think it will, but I think that you're right. It's a zero-risk solution.
Okay, so he supports it. There you go. Yes, we convinced him.
Cool. Yeah, I probably won't be standing up for the idea at the Open Hardware Summit. I'm just saying, I'm not going to be I'm here to fight for Dave, who made a video and wants people to talk about him, even though he won't fly here.
If I was there, yes, I would be giving a talk.
Okay.
If it was more accessible to me, yes, I would have put together a pitch and I would be speaking at the Open Hardware Summit about this. Yes.
For me, basically, it's like I really feel like disappointed. It's like not fair when we provide everything to the people and other big company, he put their same logo or they put their same logo and they provide the PDF schematic, yeah?
Right.
And one of the things, that's actually the way how, because we don't have money for big promotion. We are not big company, it's open source. So one of the ways how we can differentiate from these other boards, which are available, hundreds of boards, is we put this logo there, yeah? That's how people can say, okay, let's have a look on this board because it's fully open source. And now what's happening, 90% boards, they have the logo. So how they are going to find your board?
Exactly. Now, I'm going to play devil's advocate here and ask you, Robert, what do you think about the certified logo idea? Like the trademarked logo and you've got to sign up and you get penalized if you don't.
It's open source. How they are going to ask money from open source projects?
No, they would. Oh, well, yes, exactly. They can't enforce the fines. Well, no, technically they can because the logo is trademarked. So if you use the logo, but then you've got to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars defending a trademark dispute, then
what I mean is like they are doing it for open source project. And open source project, I don't think most of them, they don't have money to pay for additional something to get a stamp or a logo to use on their boards.
But they don't. I think it's free. You don't have to
pay. It would be free. The logo would be free.
The logo would be free, but if you misuse it, they will sue your ass out of existence.
Okay.
That's that's basically what they're saying.
I'm not sure. And especially, I think you explain in the video, everybody knows the blue gear.
Yep.
And the new logo, it would take, I think, a lot of time, and no one is really sure if people are going to recognize the new logo. Everybody knows the green one.
Exactly. So that's why I'm saying modify it and take into account the practical reality we live in. And everyone seems to agree. I've had very few people say, no, this is a shit idea. Whether or not they're just not speaking up, I don't know. But I'm had awesome feedback from it. So,
it's a good idea because
very encouraging.
It's still people still can use the old logo, and with this new idea, you can very easily differentiate from.
You can
people.
differentiate. That's the good thing about it. People can just doesn't need to be an agreement. People can just start using my idea, and it doesn't really
I'm
impact
going to use
anyone.
It, okay.
Awesome. Score winner. Yes. Thank
but
you
have to
very
pay
much.
Dave a fee. Did you hear about that?
Right, yeah. It's trademarked, yeah.
Trademarked, right, yeah.
No, I will put
Extra
it there.
letters. Fantastic.
No, actually, I think that is. I mean, like, yeah, if nothing else, like, whatever, But
That's what I'm
at
hoping.
the end of the day, it's all
on.
splintering anyways, and we'll see what happens. So,
Well, no,
cynical Chris today.
I like to think it's more unifying than,
Yeah, but I think you like to think that because it's your idea as well.
maybe.
I've known Dave for a little while. Dave likes people to like his ideas. So.
Dave likes
But,
David's ideas.
someone has to come with the idea, and it has to be someone who can influence a lot of people. So I think Dave is the right person to do it.
I gave it a start. It's up to others to take it on.
It's up to
others
yes.
to discuss it at the open.
It's not me; it's the people.
It's the
community. Yes. Oh yes.
It's true.
I'd like to thank the Academy. I'd like to thank my fans.
You can send my award to
Yeah. Right.
Anyway.
Enough about Dave. Back to you, Robert. So you moved to the States recently. What prompted that?
There was opportunity to move here, so I use it.
That's great.
Right.
That's great. And so we're actually not that far away right now. So I'm up in San Francisco. You're down in like South Bay area, right?
Yeah, it's the small town. It's called Visalia. It's somewhere approximately in the middle between San Jose or San Francisco and Los Angeles. A little bit closer to Los Angeles. That's why I asked you about the Hack Day Super Conference, because maybe, who knows, I could have a look.
Can I ask you one last thing, Robert?
Yes.
With your online courses, it looks like you've got them on your website for download. Is there some back-end engine that you're using are these streamed videos, or do people download them as MPEG-4s or whatever? Because as someone who wants to get into, has always been thinking about getting into this sort of paid content course kind of thing, what back-end are you using to serve up the videos and collect the money and all that sort of stuff?
I built it on WordPress. I found some plugins,
right?
And we done quite a lot of programming stuff. I programmed
so it's
a lot
custom.
of things.
So it's a semi-custom solution. Okay.
Yeah, because you need to somehow, when people log in, they need to have some capabilities. They call it capabilities, which they get when they pay for the course.
Yep.
And based on the capabilities, they see the content.
Got it. So, right, okay. So that's all based on a WordPress plugin. I think you do something similar, don't you, Chris? You've got some WordPress
everything
plugin?
except the custom coding part, yeah.
Right, okay, yeah. So
I can't do that
you just bought an off-the-shelf WordPress plugin and did it that way.
Yeah, if anyone's ever interested, we can. Yep. I'm sure Robert will also talk to them about it. It's just
so
it's
where is
pretty
your
boring
content?
from a
How is your content hosted, Robert? Is it on?
It's on
YouTube?
Amazon servers.
Oh, Amazon servers. Okay.
Yeah, so it's streamed.
It's streamed. Okay, so they can't download the MP4.
They can. Depends what package they buy.
Okay, right.
They can download it, but we try to. This was really very tricky. Mm-hmm. You never know who is going to copy and share the things.
On torrents or whatever. Yep.
So I was not sure exactly how to do it. We do it the way that if someone buys the download, we always individually encode the videos for the particular customer or client or student, or depends who is ordering. Mm-hmm. So the videos are always marked with some watermark or something.
Watermark, right.
Yeah, based on who buys it. But, I always say people who would like to, people who don't have money, they will always copy the software. They will always copy the content. People who have the money, many of them, they pay it. Because
of course,
a lot of clever people, they know it's a lot of work. And for some people, it's just easier. They just pay it and they don't have to do any hustle or anything. So I just stopped thinking about this.
Got it. Did you consider any one of those online places that do this, like Udemy or something like that?
I was thinking about this, but I think they take like a lot of money.
There's a big, I think there's a percentage there. Yep. And your content is not general public stuff either, is it? So there's no advantage to...
No. And the thing is, it's again about, it's like with the freelancing. When I was thinking about this, I actually thought it's much better to create platform where all the people will know this is where I can find everything about electronics. So basically building my own audience. If you build it for Udemy, I'm not sure. Do you have access to the audience?
Oh, like emails and stuff like that? No, I don't. I don't believe so.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
So you are, zero.
Right.
You have no audience. You have no really friends, emails, people.
Yep.
It's like what you were talking about with freelancing, right? It's like you're always working for someone else at that point, right?
Yes, exactly. You create the content for someone else.
Well, that's good. I think it's great that you're making these things. I mean, it's obviously I'm in a similar field. I think that there's a ton of need for this stuff outside of even what you and I have done. Like it's just that there's so many different projects and like different things that people can learn from each one. I remember being very afraid that other people would create projects, and I'm like, if it's project based, there's always something you can learn from. Like you do high speed stuff, and I never do any of that stuff. And so I always, whenever someone asks me about high speed, I'm like, no, you should go take Robert's course because I couldn't tell you how to do that if I tried. I've just never done it myself. So I think that that's really useful, and I think that there's a lot of other courses that could be made about a range of different design topics that I'm sure we'll see over the coming years.
And always when someone asks about KiCad, I always send them to you.
Awesome.
Excellent. There you go. Oh, it's a big love-in.
That's right.
No, it's true. It's, what can I tell the people? I think the courses where they can find the KiCad courses is just Chris. So go and ask him.
Well, thanks. Yeah.
You've cornered the market, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, me and the rest of YouTube. Right. Well, Robert, I'm really glad you got to be on the show, and I'm glad. Hopefully, we'll get to see each other soon. Where can people find your work online and find you around the web?
They can just go on Fedevel. They just Google for Fedevel Academy, or they can just Google for my name, I guess. And
okay. And Fedevel
are you on Twitter?
Oh.
Yes, I'm on Twitter, YouTube. I don't use Twitter a lot. I think I mostly use YouTube for most of the things, or I also use Facebook to share a lot of things.
Yeah, I like your YouTube or your Facebook channel rather. It's good to follow. Yeah,
the best way to contact me is just send email robert.feranec@fedevel.com.
And how do you spell Fedevel? Just so people know.
Fedevel. And a lot of people make mistakes, and they don't understand. And they don't understand what is the name about. So it's like Feranec Development.
Oh, nice. Yeah, right.
It was free, the domain was free. So.
Right.
That's how it goes.
Yeah, we're used to that. Well, thank you very much, Robert. It's been awesome.
Thank you very much for inviting me, and I really hope I can meet you in person, both of you, Dave and Chris. And
with me, it's a bit harder. Yep.
You never know. You may go to California, or I may go to Australia.
There you go.
Who knows?
Yeah.
And I hope maybe with Chris we can meet soon.
I'm sure we will. Yeah. Okay, great. Well, thanks again, Robert, for being on. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Catch you next time.